I have my camera at a bit of a different angle for this video because I'm going to be doing a thing. We're going to talk about fan sao. Fan sao is a strike primarily that you see in Wing Chun, and you see it first in the first form after the gam saos at the beginning of the second section. So after this, you see the hands come up like this with the left over the right, and then you see this thing happen, and then it comes back with the right over the left. Now, this movement here I have seen described in a couple of ways, and the reason that I'm deciding to call it a fan sao is because personally I have seen fan sao used far more in sparring and chi sao and everything, and I barely ever hear about an application for Fok. Now that may be just my particular lineage and whatever, but the energy behind both of these is fairly similar from other stuff that I've read, so I'm just going to go ahead and call this a fan sao and I may get corrected. Anyway, so the whole idea with this is that you have a thin horizontal striking surface that usually is going into the throat. Usually this is a hand that's following bridge up the arm and going into the neck. That's not to say that it can't follow under the arm and go like into the armpit, or hit any other target. Like you could take fan and you could go to the eyes with it, you could go to the side of the head with it, or wherever. But primarily this is a hand that's used because it's good for following bridge. So say you've got a lop, bam, you got this bridge here. Like you don't even need to look for the neck. You know that the arm is here and you know that it's connected to the neck. So you just fly out with a fan sao and you get that. And in fact, when we do when we used to do our bong lop da drills, we would do bong lop and we would immediately come over with a fan sao. That was our strike. That was the da portion of that. Now, as far as how this is executed, you will notice that there's a little bit of shoulder movement involved. Why? Why is the reason for that? Well, so we don't use a lot of wide movements and wide steps in Wing Chun. All of our stuff is very close, and we concentrate on generation of power through relaxation in close proximity. Now, if we start that movement at the elbow or at the shoulder and then move it out to the elbow and then flick it out to the fingers, into the hand, we're using every single one of these joints like a multi-jointed whip to go in and generate as much force as possible. And if you listen really carefully, you can I can hear in my ear, I don't know if it comes across with the fan going, but I can hear like you're swinging a reed through the air, and I can hear a little snap at the end. That's how much whipping force is being generated by involving all of those joints in a relaxed fashion. Now, usually we aren't striking out to the side with this. Usually what we're doing is we're going fairly forward with it. So this is about where a fan sao goes. And, if you want to reference from the side, this is probably like 2.5 fists width, as far as the elbow. So this is a very extended thing. It's a strike. And, the arm is bent because we don't want to go outside center. And, this will usually stop just a little bit beyond our center or, on our center, as it strikes the opponent. And so that's how that fan sao works. Instances in which I see this used a lot, again, when you have bridge and you can follow it up to the arm, when doing that bong lop da, you see that being used. Otherwise, usually there's some other kind of strike that you'll see used in lieu of this one. This one is very good for hitting the neck. It's very good at following bridge. It's very good for going up into this stuff here, which, by the way, is a great target. There's a lot of little nerves and things in here, and if you can get a fan to strike up in here or strike the tricep, this is a good area to hit as well. There's a bunch of ribs down here as well. Don't overlook hitting somebody below the arm if you happen to end up with that bridge. It's a good place to hit. It's a good hand. It's a good strike. It's very powerful. It's probably one of the more penetrating strikes that we have, because it's just that very thin that thin thing with a lot of energy kind of coming down on a target. And usually this is used on soft targets. And so when this hits your neck, it's a bad time for you. Like even done very softly, you know, you want to definitely monitor your intent with this hand with partners, because this is one of those that can, even if you're going light with it, can kind of be a little uncomfortable. So that's Fan Sao.